Vince Trovato and Pete Meachum are the two paid state directors by the Trump campaign, and they're going to give us an update on this very winnable campaign. We have a lot to do along this line, and before I bring them up, I just want to tell you a short little story. I was having dinner last night with a friend of mine for 20 years and his wife. He's a Democrat. I don't think he's ever voted Republican in his life. I had asked him, I had seen him about 3 months ago, and said, what do you think about Hillary? And he said, well, he didn't like her, you know, and he didn't know what he was going to do, but probably not vote for her. So last night I'm talking to him, I say, what do you think, are you still not going to go for Hillary? And I mean, this is somebody that has never voted Republican, does not like Walker, does not like Johnson, does not like Bush, whatever, doesn't like any Republicans. And he said, well, I said, are you just not going to vote or what? No, I'm voting for T. What do you mean? I'm voting for Donald Trump. He thinks, I think he's a very fine man, and I think it's very, that Hillary would just do the country a terrible disservice, and we just cannot have her in there. He thinks that, he said, I really think that Donald Trump will do a great job in the United States of America. And I think what we all need to do is to talk to some of our friends that have this conscious problem about not being able to vote for Trump for various reasons. Because we don't have a chance to have a third person or a fourth person or whatever. It's Hillary or it is Donald Trump. And I'm just add one more thing. The company I work for, we have about 100 M&A guys throughout the country. And on the regional managers meeting, and the owner of the company is there and so forth and so on, every one of them was for Trump since the beginning because they like the idea of a businessman out there doing this stuff. So I mean, there's a lot of, and I've read more about the business people throughout the country coming around for Trump, and I think all you need to do is think about Hillary and the continuation of Obama for another 4 years. And so I don't want to take the thunder away from Pete and Vince, but this is an extremely important election. And he's going to tell you how Wisconsin is going to be won in that column, which means if Trump wins, there's no question but Johnson will win Wisconsin. And also there's all sorts of scenarios that equal 270. That's the number of votes that you need in order to win the presidency, and Wisconsin is in that scenario. Not 269, not 271, but exactly 270. So without further ado, I'd like to invite both Pete and Vince up here.
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? I'm just going to start with one quick question. What was everybody doing 34 years ago? Anybody remember where they were 34 years ago in November? I know what you were doing. You were celebrating Ronald Reagan's win, which was the last time a Republican won Wisconsin for president. This is the year we're going to break the streak. And we've got a great opportunity in Donald Trump. And I know that, you know, like if you're like me, Donald Trump was probably maybe not your first choice. A lot of people, that's been the case around here. But what we see as we go out and we campaign is that he's coming around. People are coming around. And more as we get out around and campaign, we hear stories like what Bob told just now, where we hear from people who are who've never voted before, and people who haven't registered to vote, and they're coming out to vote for Donald Trump because he is somebody who speaks to blue collar. He's the blue collar billionaire, and he speaks to blue collars and to working people. And so, you know, that's the first thing I want to say is how excited we are to get out and be campaigning for Donald Trump. I want to just point out something else that a lot of people are thinking about, which is the Supreme Court. And you know, we're here tonight talking about the Second Amendment and what that means to our freedoms. And I think it's important to point out that the next president is going to have 3 opportunities to appoint justices to the Supreme Court. And if you think about what that means, you know, as Mr. Sensenbrenner likes to point out, the justices get appointed when they're in their 40s and 50s, and those justices are going to be there for a generation. And so I think a good point about that is that the Supreme Court that the next president gets to shape is going to shape the country, for the direction of our country for our kids and our grandkids. And that's something that we all need to think about as well. Bob pointed out something else that is an important thing to think about, which is no matter what the choice was during the primary, we have a binary choice now between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And if you think that Hillary Clinton's going to be a better president, I don't think anybody in the room is going to argue about that. But that's where we are tonight. Let's maybe take a little bit of seconds and just talk about where we are around the state, which is, if you picture a map of Wisconsin in your mind right now, you picture the top part of the map all the way across the north is bright red, because Donald Trump is outperforming in the 7th Congressional District and in the 8th Congressional District. So if you think about the state all the way across from Hudson, straight across 29 to Green Bay, you're looking at a whole half of the state that is going red for president, like it's probably, at least it's probably not gone since Reagan. Now if you think about, then we're looking down further down the bottom half of the state. Over on the southwest of here, we've got a good opportunity to pick up some what's traditionally blue counties. But the real problem that we're having as Republicans is right here in the ring counties and in Milwaukee. Donald Trump's underperforming in Washington, Waukesha, Ozaukee, Racine, Kenosha, and right here in Milwaukee County. And so that's where our focus is going to be for the next 58 days. The focus is going to be right here, getting our Republican friends to turn out and vote. The Marquette poll showed a couple things. One, which is the race is a lot closer than everybody thought, which I think is pretty exciting. Donald Trump came here 6 times after the convention. We had a lot of rallies and a lot of meetings. He really raised some good money. And what that did was it brought us right back up after the convention, but right back with the most recent Marquette poll within 3 points. The Washington Post poll, which came out a week later, showed that we're within 2 points. So the gap is closing all the time. And if you look at the internal of those polls, what you see is that Hillary Clinton is at 90% of the vote that she's going to get. It's not going to get much higher. But the Republican vote is at 80% of the Republican vote. So what we need to do is what we do here in Wisconsin, which is turn out the vote. We need to go knock doors, get on the phones, get to your RPW offices, get your friends out, work with your field reps, and get out there and start, get your friends out. Because that's the way we're going to win this election, is by turning out our friends and our neighbors. And this, make no mistake, this is going to be a turnout election. Hillary Clinton is actually less popular as a politician here than Donald Trump is if you look at the counties they won during the primary. Bernie Sanders won across the state except for 2 counties. Donald Trump won a lot of places, didn't win them all, obviously came in second here, but he won more counties than Hillary Clinton did. And so we think we've got a really good shot, and with my buddy here Vince, we're getting around and we're doing all we can to turn out the vote. I think I'll just take a few seconds to ask any questions, answer any questions anybody's got. We're going to have Mr. Trump back. We're going to have Donald Trump Jr. here. We're going to have Mr. Pence be back. So we're going to have more visits across the fall, and we're going to look for you all to come out. I know Darlene's part of our Wisconsin Women for Trump, so if you're a woman in the room, or if you're a man who likes women, you can join the group, I guess. But we got Wisconsin Women for Trump. It's a lot of pink, and it's about one of the point there is to close the gap. So go ahead, yes, sir.
What's happening with these so-called leaders of the Republican Party who are against Trump?
I have to say, if you look at 2 states, Iowa and Wisconsin, Iowa is demographically, it's like Wisconsin. Working class, income almost the same, majority white district, 90% of the state's white, low Hispanic, low African American. And Iowa, Mr. Trump is winning in Iowa, and he's not winning here. And I think we're about 2 points behind. And if you look at the 2 states, what's the difference? The difference in Iowa is that Governor Branstad, Senator Ernst, Senator Grassley, all the congressional representatives are all on board, and they're all out there working to elect Mr. Trump. And I think what they recognize in Iowa is typically what we recognize here in Wisconsin, which is the team that pulls together wins together. In Wisconsin, though, we've got a well-documented, sort of never Trump movement, and those people, I think, you can sort of say what you like. I think some people call it sabotage or however, but at this stage of the game, if you're not working to elect Mr. Trump, you're working to elect Hillary Clinton. And if you're going to stay home, you're going to cost us the Senate seat. You're going to cost us state Senate seats. You could potentially put the state Senate in Democrat hands, which is something we would be going sacrificing Governor Walker's wins. So I think I'd look for you to call on your state reps to get out, state senators to get out, come help us out in whatever way they can. But we need everybody on the team pulling in the same direction.
Yeah. Sorry. A lot of people I talk to are concerned about Donald Trump's conservative credentials. What can you tell us would make us safer as conservatives to elect Donald Trump, what can we rely on? What promises, what actions do you think we can rely on?
One of the things is, I think, I've heard other people say this, and I'll borrow this line, which is, there's a 50% chance that Donald Trump will be a good president, right? He's never been a politician. It's his first time in politics. That's one of the things that a lot of people like about him, is that he's not part of the system that's brought us all the problems we've got. But Hillary Clinton is going to be 100% bad president. So that's one question there. But I think Donald Trump's done something that no president has done that I'm aware of, which is release his list of Supreme Court nominees that he's going to be picking from. That's the conservative legacy that we need, is going to be in the courts. So I think for one thing is that he's committed to do that. And if Donald Trump is president, you can be guaranteed we're going to have a Republican Senate as well, because he's going to lift up Marco Rubio in Florida, he's going to lift up Pat Toomey in Pennsylvania, he's going to lift up Ohio as well. And so, there's not going to be a Republican Senate that's going to let liberal picks get through from Donald Trump. But the other thing side of the coin is, I take him at his word when he talks about, tax reform, bringing taxes down, criminal justice reform. And if you look at one of the things that's going on out there, we're going to have a back-to-badge coalition that's going to be coming out in a few days. And if you look, it was just reported last week that in 25 major cities across the country right now, crime is up, murders are up, all of them are up. And the reason it's up, gun violence is up, and it's because we're seeing, a soft on crime attitude. And I think it's pretty conservative to have a tough on crime, and that's what Donald Trump's going to bring. So I think that's the answer is, with a first-time politician, there's a little bit of risk. With Hillary Clinton, there's 100% risk. Is that all right?
Got to work on these guys.
I'm working on it, everybody. Do my best.
He's going off to the evangelicals. One of the first things he wants to do is get rid of that thing that LBJ put through the IRS.
The Johnson Amendment, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's going to allow free speech from the pulpit, which we haven't had since the '60s. I mean, that's going to be a huge boon for our churches. And I think the other point to make about Donald Trump and conservatism is pro-life. You're going to have somebody who's going to appoint justices who are going to protect life. And as a life movement, we can't elect Hillary Clinton, allow Hillary Clinton to get elected, and push us back after all the victories we've had over the last several years. And as much as we've endured under Obama, to have another president who's going to push life on us.
But can I say one thing? Besides pro-life Second Amendment, he's a very pro-Second Amendment candidate. He received the endorsement from the National Rifle Association several months ago. So don't forget your Second Amendment rights, especially at a dinner like this.
Who are the justices that he wants to appoint?
It's a long list. It's on his website.
And they are all conservative?
They are.
Yes,
What's the question?
Most of them are. The question was, who are the justices that Trump is going to appoint? And it's a long list. He's put up, I think, 50 justices to select from, and that would be for the appellate courts as well. And it's on the website. Take a look.
By the way, he wasn't always conservative. He's given money to the Clintons also, I believe. So what did he say is his metamorphosis? Why did he change? To become president, or because he really believed it?
I think what he said is because he can't stand the direction the country's going under Barack Obama. And that's what he said about it.
Why was Scalia never had an autopsy? It's very quickly burned.
That's over my
I think that's above our pay grade.
Yeah, that's above my pay grade. So I don't know the answer to that. And I think it's there's a lot of questions about
Nothing
that.
to do with
In the back.
Yeah, one question, when we were going around the states for our VPI candidate, a lot of people came up to me and asked me one volunteer for Donald Trump,
Yep.
but they don't know where to go to and where can I lead them and guide them.
DonaldTrump.com, there's a big button up on the right side that says volunteer. If you volunteer there, we get a list and we get it out every week. We get it to our PW field staff. One of the things that's going really well in Wisconsin is that the synchronicity between the Trump campaign and the RPW is as good as it gets. We've knocked over 1 million doors with the RPW so far, and I got to say, one of the things is about RPW is you really have the best state party in the country here in Wisconsin. Something to be very proud of, and it's something to protect and keep on. And this is an election that we got to keep going.
And the Trump signs, they all want Trump signs.
More are coming. So I wish I had them with me. They were supposed to arrive right after Labor Day, but more are coming.
We've heard that before.
It is after Labor Day.
There's
about the signs.
Yes.
First, happy birthday, Margaret, from the Trump campaign.
Thank you. Guess who I'm looking for? I do a lot of one-on-one contacts, And I've contacted a lot of people on a one-on-one.
The other way you can volunteer is we have this new thing called Trump Talk, and TrumpTalk.com. You can go in there and log. If you've got 5 minutes, you can make one phone call. If you've got an hour, you can make 10 phone calls, and you can do it right from your home. And it's a real easy thing to do online to make some voter contact and to contact people that may not be getting out to vote.
All mine is one-on-one in person.
All
That's
right.
the way to spread it.
One of the things I'm just going to announce here today, the first person, you guys will be the first people to hear it. Donald Trump Jr. is coming October 4th. We're going to have a big event, a couple events with him. And for the volunteers who knock the most doors and make the most phone calls, we're going to have the top 5. We're going to be able to meet Donald Trump Jr. So that's going to be something for people.
Point to the polls, how is Trump doing among the independents?
Mr. Trump's actually winning among independents, so just a slight edge. And as you know, in Wisconsin, he's got to get a bigger bump amongst independents. We got to get a huge bump in Southeast Republicans. So right here in the collar counties and in Milwaukee, we've got to get our people out. I think we don't want to take too much time, or
Maybe 2 more questions.
sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay, I was under the impression that Dr. Ben Carson was helping the Trump campaign, maybe getting on the black vote or whatever. Can you expand on that? Because I'm not sure if I heard that officially.
He is. He's advising the Trump campaign, and he's helping the Trump campaign, and he's supporting. So I don't know what he's doing specifically in terms of getting out the black vote. We're focused right here in Wisconsin, but I know that he's been a part of the planning, and he's been a surrogate for Donald Trump in some places. When we'll start to get surrogates here later in the month, and hopefully he'll come here. But he is helping.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. The way back.
Is there an effort to continue, like what you said last week, about the Democrats kind of looting the inner cities, and it really seemed to like push the needle in the other direction? It was like a real positive coming out from him, and it was nice to hear.
I think it's one of those things that I was at a black church down here in Milwaukee, a couple of days ago, or a few days ago, and the pastor said to me, we were talking about Donald Trump, and she said to me, a lot of people said that that it was offensive that he said, "What have you got to lose?" And I say, look out my church front door, look across the street at this neighborhood, and what do these people have to lose? And when she said that, I got a little excited. She said, I want you to know that if Donald Trump comes, we want him to come to our church and have the same kind of conversation, because the people in our neighborhood need to hear his message. And that's what we are trying to do with Donald Trump, is to make sure he gets out there. I think he's going to continue to do that. I think he's going to take the message to the inner city. He's going to take the message to Hispanics. One of the things that people forget about Hispanics is that they're the most entrepreneurial class in America. They start businesses at twice the rate of regular, other Americans. And so, he's speaking to those groups too. And it's one of the reasons why Donald Trump is doing better among blacks than Romney did and then McCain did, and he's doing better among Hispanics than McCain did as well. And so I think you're going to continue to see that grow as he continues to campaign. Thanks, Bob. Thanks for the opportunity.